Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Assalamu alaikum class. I welcome you to English grade 6 video lessons. I'm your English teacher Zia. I hope that you're doing well. And now, after finishing our unit number 4 and completing it, we are on our unit number 5. And this is our introductory lecture of unit 5. We are going to see all the different SLOs that we will be covering in this video lesson series. So let's get started. First, I would like to introduce you the unit and the theme and the sub-theme of the lesson that we are dealing with. So our unit number 5's title is Arrogance Leads to Loss of Friends. And our major theme of the lesson is about peaceful coexistence or peace education. Our sub-theme is about friendship and cooperation. Now, my dear learners, I hope that you have read the lesson or you're going to read it very soon. So this is the theme and the sub-theme that you're going to see throughout the whole text of the lesson. Now, before you read the text of the lesson, I would like to give you an overview of the chapter that we added in the book. So let's get a quick overview and a gist of the chapter, Arrogance Leads to Loss of Friends. In this chapter, we explore the story of an arrogant tree in a playground. Arrogant means somebody who is very proud and who is very arrogant in the sense that they are very proud and they don't consider others any worthy or helpful. So it is about a tree who is arrogant, and the tree, although beautiful and full of fruit and flowers, becomes prideful and rude, shunning other trees, animals and children. Eventually, its arrogance leads to loneliness. As everyone avoids it, the tree realizes the consequences or the results of its behavior when a small plant grows from one of its seeds. A young boy helps the tree understand the importance of humility and kindness. The tree apologizes to everyone it mistreated and learns that true beauty lies in being kind and helpful. And this chapter teaches that arrogance and selfishness lead to isolation, while humility and being down to earth and humble, and also the cooperation, it fosters and makes friendship, and it makes you happy, and you will be fostering happiness. So this is our theme's overview of the whole lesson. Now let's move on with our lecture number 1 that we will be continuing in this video lesson series. So for lecture number 1, we are going to cover an SLO. It says recognize and demonstrate function and use of modal verbs like can or cannot, may or may, not and should, shall, will, could, might, etc. to express ability, inability, permission, offers, invitations, requests, prohibition, doubt, obligation, etc. in affirmative, negative, and interrogative sentences. So, we are going to see the modal verbs that are mentioned over here in the student's learning outcome in the sense of showing ability, inability, or permission, offers, and all these things mentioned. And we will be seeing them in different kind of sentences like affirmative, negative, and interrogative sentences. So we will cover all these things in our lecture number 1. And then in our next lecture, which will be our lecture number 2, we are going to cover this SLO. It says recognize and use simple binomial pairs, neat and tidy, far and wide. So we will be looking at the binomial pairs, and they are describing the same things with different words. So we will be seeing these things with examples and all the other resources for you so that you can practice these binomial pairs in your practical and daily life. Next one, we have lecture number 3 divided in different parts. Let's go through lecture number 3A's SLO. Now these are two SLOs merged in one because they are sharing the same purpose. It says read and view a variety of age-appropriate and high-interest books and texts from print and non-print sources, narratives, fables, historical fiction, folk tales, and realistic stories. And then we will be identifying the writer's purpose and what makes it interesting. So first, we need to see that we will be reading variety and different kind of books and text, both from when they are printed and non-printed sources. We will be looking at narratives, and narratives have all these different types mentioned, and also we will be looking at writer's purpose, why do writers write, and how do the audience and the readers select what they're going to read, what they want to read or not. So we will be covering all these things in our lecture 3A. Moving on with our lecture 3B, our students' learning outcome is explain how readers make choices about the text they like reading. For example, by author or genre or genre. Categorize literary works as fiction, non-fiction, poetry or drama. So this SLO is about reading and critical thinking, and we will be thinking like the readers, what do they like reading, and they can decide it by the author or by the genre or different classification of literature. We will be categorizing literary works in these kind of genres to see what is the purpose of each of these subgenres. Now for lecture number 3C, we will be covering the SLO, differentiate between developing and static character in the story. Now, my dear learners, you know that there are different kind of characters. So we will be covering the developing characters that are developing throughout the story and the static characters. So we will be looking at these things so that you can easily recognize them in your stories, dramas, or other kind of fictional texts. For lecture 3D, we will be covering the SLO, identify the use of language structure and vocabulary and presentation to predict and to understand the meaning. So, now this is about understanding meaning. In order to understand meaning, you need to be seeing the language structure, your vocabulary, and how the text is presented before you so that you can predict the meaning of words or phrases that are not familiar to you. So now this is our last lecture, sub-lecture of our lecture number 3, which is lecture 3E. And in this one, we will be covering the student's learning outcome, present a response by retelling the story, rating the book, sharing opinions. Now, this is about writing book reviews. After you have read any text, now you want to share your ideas and thoughts about it. So you will be rating the book, sharing your views, retell the story in your own words and in your own style, and also share your opinions about how the story went, different characters and situations. So we will be covering all these things. And for lecture number 4 in the series with lecture 4A, we will be covering students' learning outcome. It says participate in solo or single, paired and group assignments, including role plays, show insight into text, and issues through choice of speech, gesture, movements within role play. So this is about oral communication competency, and for the role play, you will be covering different participation categories like solo, going with pairs or in groups, so that your oral communication and your speech is enhanced. We will be seeing them with different kind of activities. For the next lecture, our SLO will be write narratives to develop real or imagined experiences or events using effective techniques like descriptive details and clear event sequences. So, this is about writing narratives. And narratives, as we know, it's like a story. So it could be from both the reality or the imagined world or your fantasy world. So you will be able to narrate your real life experiences and also your imaginative experiences after we go through this SLO. And you will be using different techniques like using descriptive language or giving so much descriptive details to the reader so that they can imagine like they were right at the moment. And you will be also following the clear event sequence, like there is a plot, how it's starting, how it's rising, the climax and all that, since when we are dealing with our fictional kind of narratives. So we will be going through all these things. Now, at the end, I would like to thank you for listening to this introductory lecture. I'll see you on the other side with lecture number 1. Take care of yourselves. Allah Hafiz.